every Saturday at 7:30 a.m. for A View from the Outside, hosted by Brereton Horne. A View from the Outside takes a look at key issues affecting St. Vincent and the Grenadines and gives a global perspective on how these issues are viewed. Host Brereton Horne will examine a variety of topics to enlighten, stimulate debate, and explore solutions. Hear the facts, hear the real-life stories, hear A View from the Outside. Join Brereton Horne at 7:30 a.m. every Saturday on NiceRadio for A View from the Outside.
This society needs a spectacle. It might help us to see some evil. This society needs a spectacle.
All right, and the 27th day of January, 27th day of 2018 as well. We say good morning to Brereton Horne.
Good morning to you, Justin. How are you this morning?
Well, nice, great, and wonderful as usual. And I'm hoping that you're going to let it rip this morning.
Well, in keeping with your song, I hope I don't disappoint.
Well, I think expectations are high now in Vinci in particular. Issues have been bombarding the airwaves. You have propaganda, what we may say, on either side of the fence, that sort of thing happening,
Yes. Well, St. Vincent and the Grenadines is now internationally known, some say for the wrong reasons. Mm-hmm. And yes, the discussions continue both in country and outside of country.
Yeah. Normally, the world would be taken up with comments by Trump, but I'm sort of leaving that. I know he's looking to get rid of Mueller, but I think more for
allegedly,
and more so for us, though. I think there seem to be issues in South Africa where they say corruption is rife and seem to be aiming to derail what Mandela would have worked for.
Yes, talking about Trump, yes, he's over in Davos where there's the meeting going on with the heads of governments of countries, and not in some ways making a good name for himself as usual.
Yeah, and by the way, about that. By the way, he has now sort of expanded the term "Make America Great Again." He's saying it's not America alone now, but
yes, it's not. When we say "Make America Great Again" or "America First," when we say America First, we don't mean America alone. But, what a way to try to remedy a situation which is already completely broken. And as you said, Justin, in terms of South Some yes, it's a sad tale coming out of South Africa.
Yeah.
Especially when one looks at the gains that were made.
Oh yes.
But some would say that it's almost inevitable that we're here, we're where we are now.
Okay.
But let's hope that the South African situation can be remedied and that it doesn't descend into anything much further than it is now. It is now.
All right. Well, as usual, we have temperature of 25.3 Celsius and present conditions as given at 6 a.m. partly cloudy. That's what we have.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be jealous.
Let me see you up on your end. What they have? London, 7 degrees Celsius.
Well, it's currently 8. It's currently 8 degrees Celsius, which is approximately 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes.
Great.
Let me say good morning, Justin, to all of the listeners of Nice Radio, all of the listeners of the A View from the Outside, and to let them know that, as you said, the temperature in London is 8 degrees Celsius, 46 degrees Fahrenheit, and that we hope that we have a good program this morning.
Oh, yes. Well, it's all yours, man.
Thank you. On A View from the Outside this week being the 27th of January 2018, we start a series of programs, and we look at image, I-M-A-G-E, image, with the view being that unless the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines take serious steps to arrest or stop the negative image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which is being projected around the world, then such image of the country will be damaged irreparably. The Cambridge Dictionary defines image simply as the way that something or someone is thought of by other people. By applying that definition, we can say that the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines is what other people think of it when they hear the name mentioned. It is with regret that we, on A View from the Outside, have to report that the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines around the world is not a good one. It is with regret that we have to repeat what is being said about our once blessed and beautiful country. However, if reporting and repeating what is being thought and said about St. Vincent and the Grenadines will encourage our people to do something about it, then it is certainly worth us doing it. For some time now, it has been observed and thought that St. Vincent and the Grenadines has become a place where the rule of law is severely undermined and eroded altogether. And it is in that regard that it has become a place where the Director of Public Prosecution, the DPP, is seen to have intervened and nolli prosequi, or stop a case, to prevent the Prime Minister of the country from answering in court rape allegation and sexual assault charges which were brought against him by a policewoman who was guarding him and his family at the time. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has become a place where the law has changed to give the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, the sole power to give what is called a fiat to determine who can bring a private prosecution or a private complaint. That's a criminal complaint. It's become a place where legislation or law is made to seemingly punish one section of the country simply because they're perceived not to be supporters of the regime. It's seen as a place where court rulings and orders are flouted, as in the case of Marcus de Freitas and others. It is seen as a place where legislation or law is amended to retroactively provide immunity for those who are perceived to have committed immigration offenses against the state. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is seen as a place where a law, the Police and Criminal Evidence Act, commonly referred to as PACE, P-A-C-E, was repealed, many say, to effectively give police and by extension the state more powers. Since the repeal of that law, many say that the police have been acting wantonly. The country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is seen as a place where justice is in short supply, especially if you are poor and downtrodden. A place where justice is described, even by those in the echelons of power, as having two faces. One face for the rich and well-connected, and a brutish face for the poor. It is seen as a place where the separation of powers is flouted and where members of the executive openly trespass on the domain of the judiciary. And as a consequence of that, the judiciary is seen by many as acquiescing or agreeing or carrying out the whims and fancies of the powers that be. The country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, is seen as a place where women are selectively abused, stripped bare, denigrated, vilified, and destroyed completely by those in power. The most recent scandal coming out of St. Vincent and the Grenadines has, in a way, tarnished the image of the country even more severely. Not long ago, one of the most senior judges in the Caribbean, Justice Adrian Saunders, said that the criminal justice system in most Caribbean countries is broken. Incidentally, Justice Saunders uttered those words when he was addressing a gathering in St. Vincent. More recently, on a Jerry George program entitled Time to Face the Facts, Justice Saunders reiterated that the criminal justice system in most of the CARICOM countries is in serious crisis. While Justice Saunders was not specifically referring to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the recent developments in St. Vincent and the Grenadines have shone the spotlight on the country as a place where the criminal justice system is indeed broken. The issue referred to is that of Yogi Farrell. And this is an issue which has been discussed in the last two issues of A View from the Outside, entitled Illuminate on the 13th of January 2018 and Silence on the 20th of January 2018, respectively. That issue, the issue of Yogi Farrell, continues to reverberate around the country, around the Caribbean region, and around the world. Especially because many believe there is glaring injustice meted out to a poor, young Vincentian woman. Yogi continues to languish in a mental health center after having been ordered there by a magistrate for 2 weeks for evaluation. It is to be noted that such order was first made on the 5th of January 2018. Yet, Yogi continues to languish in the mental health center, and it is alleged that she has been administered the harshest of medication. And she continues to languish while it appears that the state and party, ruling party machinery are being used to ensure that a particular outcome is obtained. And this is so especially when taking into account that senior members of the regime are meant to have declared publicly since 2017 that Yogi is mentally unwell and that there needs to be a mental health rather than a criminal solution. It must be noted that such a statement was made months before the alleged incident for which Yogi is before the court. Months before that incident is meant to have happened. Such revelation is stunning and leaves any right-thinking person flabbergasted as to what really pertains for justice in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And on that, this is what the Jamaican Observer newspaper of the 26th of January 2018, just yesterday, this is what that newspaper had to say. I quote, "A poor 22-year-old fashion model, Yogi Farrell, was sent to the madhouse by a judge for calling Karen Duncan Gonsalves a dirty B-I-T ... She pleaded not guilty. So she must be mad, yeah? We see no gender or rights entity in CARICOM protesting this travesty. Is anyone listening? The University of the West Indies should study the impact of family members of Parliament on a democracy and justice system. The powerful Gonsalves father and son political tag team is neat, but Judge Pompey's decision to grant the prosecution's request, send her to a mental institution, in the absence of supporting argument, has led to widespread debate about the functioning of the judiciary in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Is there justice here? Unquote. That commentary from the Jamaican Observer sums up the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines as far as dispensing justice is concerned. There is no doubt that Yogi Farrell deserves justice, and it is clear that many believe what is happening to her is total injustice. It is that image which continues to tarnish the name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines around the world. It is that image which continues to drag the name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines through the cesspool of injustice. It is that image which Vincentians need to take steps to stop and to correct. Such image, if allowed to continue unchecked, will do nothing but continue to damage the name of St. Vincent and the Grenadines around the world. As we, as Vincentians, attempt to stop such damage, let us be guided by the words of philosopher, theologian, and author Jonathan Sacks, who said, and I quote, "True freedom requires the rule of law and justice and a judicial system in which the rights of some are not secured by the denial of the rights of others." Unquote. Until next week, Justin and all the listeners, when we continue to look at image and the way St. Vincent and the Grenadines is seen around the world, this is Brereton Horne with a view from the outside. And a reminder to our listeners to send feedback as usual to the email address aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. That's aviewfromtheoutside@hotmail.com. Justin, you and all of the listeners have a splendid Saturday, have a wonderful weekend, and have a week ahead where we try to improve the image of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. All the best to you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That's the